Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to put can lights in a remodel. I've got to put cans through this entire kitchen. We're going to be putting 4 can lights in the kitchen, and then I've got a master bedroom around the corner where there's a soffit above the bed. I'm going to put 3 can lights in there, and I'm also going to be doing some basic electrical wiring work. I've got to jump off of a receptacle, add a dimmer switch, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys the process to do this quickly and efficiently and come out with a really superior product and how to avoid potential problems that you could have. So guys, let me start by sharing with you my favorite product to use when I'm trying to achieve this can light look in a remodel. And I'm going to explain to you why I go with this product also. So I like the Halo Canless Lights the most. I got a contractor pack, a bulk pack. They're super reasonable on price. And let me explain to you why I like to use them. First, let's just take a look at the fixture. So this is your canless light. It's got these little ears that will clip to the drywall. And then you've got a box right here where if you pop it open, all your wires are going to be, and that's how you're going to hardwire your light. Now, the reason that I like to use canless lights is because they're just that. They don't have the actual can that has to be mounted to a ceiling joist or a stud, and it's super invasive if you don't have the access to get to it without tearing up the drywall. So the canless lights are great because I don't have to worry about any of my studs or any of my ceiling joists or anything like that. If I hit one, I could simply cheat the wire and I can cheat the box around it, and the fixture is shallow enough that it's not deeper than the drywall, and you could still catch either side and it doesn't matter where you put them. So to me, that is the biggest plus, because I know exactly where I want my can lights, but just because I want them there doesn't mean I could actually achieve that if I was using an actual can box. You're not as you don't have the luxury of choosing where you put those as much. You have to really follow the joists, and that kind of dictates where you could put them. So in this situation, I could easily put them in and I could put them wherever I want. And that's the primary reason why I use these. You're just gonna need a few simple tools, and the biggest piece of advice I could give you is, for one, make sure that you have the correct size hole saw, because that is something that can get frustrating. You don't have a whole lot of a lip on these fixtures, and if you're just a 1/4 inch off, it could show an ugly little gouge or a paper tear, or the hole that you put into the ceiling and not covered all the way, and then you have to get like these flange discs, or you have to do like a drywall repair, and that's just a big pain. We're trying to avoid any of that if possible. So I also like to use a laser, so I can measure off of one end of the room and the other, and then get a straight line all the way across and follow that for multiple can lights, and I know they're going to be perfectly in line. And like I said, I like to put them on the dimmer switch because they are extremely bright, and you just need some pretty basic hand tools, a pair of wire strippers. I like to have a wiki, as I call it. I don't know what they're really called, but they make a little beep. And when you put it on a hot wire and you flip the switch, you know that it's hot. Low voltage stuff kills more people than high voltage stuff. So always make sure that you turn off your electric. It takes a couple seconds to do. Don't work with it live. I've heard really horrible stories about guys who did this in their entire life and made one mistake and lost their life. And we don't want that. But other than that, you want to have a screwdriver, a drill, and just some basic hand tools. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this all laid out. So the very first thing I like to do when I'm laying out my lights is I want to get a total measurement of the entire room. So I'm going to put this tape up. I'm at 171 1/4. Now I'm adding 4 can lights in here. So when I'm doing my math, I actually need to divide that by 5, because I'm going to have a gap and then a light. So that's 1, gap, light, 2, 3, 4, and actually 5 spaces. A lot of people make that mistake and they think they're doing 4 lights, divide it into 4. No, you actually need to divide it into 1 more than the amount of lights that you're putting in to get them spaced evenly. So keep that in mind. Okay, so what I ultimately decided in here was it made the most sense to center it on the walking space in the kitchen. So centered on the door that leads to the kitchen. I really wanted to center these off of the kitchen itself, but I think that you don't really have the walking room. There's going to be a range here, and you're actually going to be standing further back. So if I were to center it on a room, I was going to be about right here, and it would kind of look funky when you walked into the room, and I'd rather have all my cans perfectly even. So that's the decision I made for my layout. I've set my laser up, and I've already got my mark on the ceiling. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and get my hole saw. And one little thing that I'll tell you guys is when you get a hole saw, these Lennox quick releases are so nice. You don't have to worry about over cranking your threads. That used to be such a pain with the old hole saws. You'd put them in and you'd tighten them up, and I mean, it would take some serious elbow grease to get these off. These just pop right into the hole like that. And it's also good because if you get like a piece of drywall or a piece of wood stuck in the hole saw, you simply pop that out, unthread, pull out your bit, and you can poke the piece right out. It makes it so much easier. So it's a little bit of money, a little bit more than just your regular arbor, but this quick release arbor, man, it's just if you're doing a bunch of this, even if you're not, just the ease of use, it's the way to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing going, get my hole saw set up, get my drill, and we're gonna start drilling some holes. Dusty. Make sure my switch is off. So here's my wire. There we go. Got it. One more. And there she is. So thankfully, guys, I had enough slack in my wire to get it all the way to the first fixture, which is ideal for me. And now I'm just gonna go through the kitchen and go one to the next for all 5 of these lights that I added. Let's start off by making sure we got the right wire. I'm gonna hit the switch. So we know we've got the right wire. So I've got this little connector here that has pinched my MC cable that's up in the ceiling, and that's gonna go in this hole in the box. You can see it's got this little knockout that you get a flathead, and we're just gonna work that out. And now we can get that wire into the box. Simple as that, guys. That's your neutral, that's your hot wire, that's your ground. It's good to know what's hot and what's not, but really at the end of the day, black to black, white to white, copper to ground, so green. Now, sometimes this will be red or a different color if you have a different kind of wire in there, but you can always test that with your tester to make sure you got the right one. So guys, I don't like to use the cheap little wire nuts that these come with. I just don't feel like they grab as good. So I like my little twist caps. See if I can get that in focus. Here, I'll turn the light on. I like my little twist caps. I find that they are a lot easier to crank down on and they grab the wire better. And I'd rather spend a few bucks than use the little cheapos that come with the fixture. Another thing is, it seems like when you get these, they're never stripped far enough to really get a good bite. So I like to go ahead and just strip them a little bit further where I can actually get some bite to my solid copper line. These braided cables are super thin. I give myself a little more meat. I was taught that it's always a good practice to hook your ground up first. That's what we're gonna do. it's also a good measure to take. Just give that a good tug and make sure that it's grabbed well. If you can't pull it out, you know you got a good bite. So next, I'm gonna hook my neutral up. I like to keep my wires separated as I'm working. Doesn't hurt to throw a it doesn't hurt to throw a tester on your neutral also, because from time to time, people will have something wired wrong and they'll carry a charge. I've been bit a couple times by a neutral wire where something was crossed. And then last, we're gonna go and hook up our hot wire. And I always like to treat wires like they're live. I don't like to touch the copper even when I know they're dead. It's just good practice to always treat a wire like it's live and avoid any kind of electrical shock where you could you know, put yourself in harm's way. We're trying to keep ourselves safe while we're doing this. It's little stuff that gets guys a lot of times. The little stuff, the big stuff doesn't. We're wired up. Now this is pretty simple and self-explanatory. It's got two little prongs, and it's got, if you could see, it's got like a little indention right there. And if you look on here, it's got that little tiny groove in the plug. You gotta line those up or it won't plug in. Make sure I got that right. We're in, tighten up this. Now before I throw my box and my light up, let's go ahead and check it. I like to check as I go. So here's the light, and we're wired up right. All right guys, so I got that first light up, and when I put it up, it was super yellow. So I went ahead and I swapped them out for the adjustable Kelvin scale. So these, you can adjust the temperature on the light and make it different colors. I thought that's what I had originally. I should have read the entire box, but it's the same exact fixture that we started with. The only difference is it's got an adjustable temperature on it. So it's the same exact system. The only difference is I've got an adjustable temperature scale on the back. Now, we want something really bright, so we'll want something cooler. If we wanted something that was, you know, warmer, we'd go up. So this is gonna be much better for in here because we want bright, natural looking light. And let's go ahead and get this thing installed correctly this time. So I've got another wire prepared, and that is going to daisy chain or bridge, whatever you want to say, from one fixture to the other. And if you remember at the beginning, I was telling you, you want to only have a couple wires at most in a box because it gets really tight. And I'm going to show you right now how tight that actually gets. So let's go ahead and get both our knockouts out of this box. Let's get this one out. It's one. Two. Open up our box. See, this is you don't need wire nuts with this one. This one comes with the little plug and plays. So I'm just gonna strip them to the correct length, and then we'll just have to plug them right up. It'd be much easier to do. Go ahead and get that plugged into the box. Again, we're just going to snap it right into the box. That's in. Now comes the fun. These wires look like they're a good length, so start with our ground. It's in there good. You just do the tug test just like you did on the other ones. So I'm gonna plug it. Feels good. And it's good. Oh! Make sure that's clicked in all the way this time. All right. So we're good on this side. Now we've got this side. Let's get this in. Same thing. Plug and play. Plugged in. Start with our ground. All right, now it's getting all those into the box, which we got a lot more wires in here now and we got the same amount of space. So we're gonna have to be smart about how we do this. Man, get it down. Okay. Okay, one more to get in. So we're in there pretty neat. One thing to keep an eye on when you're really mashing wires around, these are brand new wires, so they're a lot more malleable. If you have some older wires and they've already been bent a lot, you might get a short, you might notice a crack in the wire. So it could be a little frustrating when you're working with older wires, trying to put that stuff in. Just keep an eye on it, make sure you don't have any shorts. We got it in there. It's kind of tight, so I'm gonna throw a piece of tape on it too. Once I know that it works. So let's test it. It works. And here's the adjustable Calvin I was talking about, the warmth and coolness. I want it one, well, we might go ahead and do all the way the most cool that it could be. I think it'll look good in here. So just gonna throw a little bit of electrical tape around it just to hold that box closed. All right. Get that box in there. Hole either. There we go. So we're in. Now I just gotta reach over. Thankfully I'm tall enough. There we go. And now I'm gonna cheat this box over here just a little bit because I got that wire a little short. Got plenty of slack. And let's go ahead and just clip our light in. And we're in. Let me separate this ground and power, make sure that we didn't mess up anything. And that's it, guys. Pretty simple. And now I'm just gonna go all the way through the kitchen and I am going to hit every single light. Hey guys, I got all my wires fished all the way through the ceiling now. And I've got my anti-short bushings and all of my snap lock connectors. Everything's clamped down and ready to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and daisy chain from one to the next, all the way till we get out of the kitchen and then everything. So just gonna repeat the first process. I'll share a little more, but that's really the gist of it. They're really good products. And let me show you one reason. See, I landed on some hat channel right here and I was still able to get my light in. I checked, but it was close. So even though I'm hitting hat channel, since I don't have a box, I could do whatever layout I want. And that is really the biggest of using those wafer lights, canless lights, pancake lights. I've heard them called all types of stuff, but they're canless lights and they're great, man. So if you ever have a remodel and you're looking to have a headache-free remodel, this is a good product to use. They're cheaper, easier, and faster than putting in can lights. Now here's the master bedroom. The first thing I'm doing is marking the height of my switch. Here's the remodel box I'll be using. When you're scribing that out, you really want to make sure that you go off of the size of the box and not the ears of the box. Those ears are meant to catch the front of the drywall, and if you cut the hole too big, you're not going to have a firm backing when you put your remodel box in. So I just killed the power. Now I'm pulling the receptacle out, and I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to fish some MC cable up through the hole that I just cut. I'm using MC cable in this application because I'm in a commercial building and it has metal boxes and metal studs. Pushing Romex through there could damage the wire and cause a short. These are also anti-short bushings. Every time you cut MC, I like to put them in there and also tape them in to make sure that they stay where I put them. Now I'm just stripping the wires and creating a loop so I could tie it into the receptacle, and I'm getting a ground wire and tying both the grounds together so that I can just jump one wire over to my receptacle. Your receptacles have prongs on either sides. The clear ones or the silver ones are your neutrals, and the gold ones are generally your hot wires. I like to tape up my receptacles when I put them into metal boxes to avoid any potential shorts in the future from it hitting the side of the box. And now I'm just testing to make sure that the power that I jumped off the recep went up into the switch, which it has. Now I'm marking either side of my soffit and setting up a laser to ensure that my lights fall evenly. I've already marked the centers of the board and batten in this application, but there's several calculators that you can refer to online and put in the total number of lights and the total distance, and they will calculate the distances for you. Now I'm just fishing some Romex from fixture to fixture. I switched over to Romex because the Romex is way easier to work with when wiring up these boxes because it's a lot more flexible, and also because the soffit was hollow and I wasn't worried about nicking and creating a short. Right here I'm just putting on some snap lock adapters, and those just plug into the knockouts on the box really well. And this has an adjustable Kelvin scale on it, so you can adjust the color of the light, one of my favorite parts about this fixture. Now I'm just going to wire up all these fixtures. When you're working with these little boxes, it can be hard to fit those wires in, so make sure your wires are cut to the right length, and really be neat when you're putting them away, because when you're closing up those boxes, you can create a short in the fixture itself. Now I'm just going through and I'm hitting the breaker every time I wire up a fixture to ensure that I got it wired properly. I don't want to go through this entire install and not check and find out that something was wired wrong and have to diagnose it. I tied together my neutral and my ground, and now I'm going to cap my hot feed and my traveler for my single pole switch, hit the breaker and make sure I did it properly, and then cut off the extra traveler for a 3-way. That's really all there is to it, guys. It's pretty simple. You need to be safe. Make sure you cut your breaker while you're working, and if you're not comfortable working with electric, hire a professional. It is a pretty easy thing to do, but you could also get hurt. These came out great and really dressed this wall up. Like and subscribe for more.